There is a painting in the East Wing studio that nobody has seen except me. Not Takashi. Not Ko. Not the Tokyo curator who called my last show the most significant exhibition of the year. Not even Riko, who is 3 years old and has strong opinions about everything, including which painting she likes and which ones she points at and says sad, with the devastating accuracy of a child who has not yet learned to be polite about what she sees. This painting is different. I started it 8 months ago, and I have not been able to finish it, and I have not been able to destroy it, and I have not been able to explain why either of those things is true. The painting is of Noguchi. Not the way he looked in the room that night, the one I walked in on, the one I kept walking past, the one I filed under things I do not ask about, and carried into the studio and put on canvas because that is what I do. Not that version. This painting is of the way he looked at me. Not at the dinner tables. Not in the hallways of the house. The way he looked at me when Takashi was not in the room. There is a specific kind of attention that has a question inside it. I am an artist. I notice everything. I noticed. And I still do not know what to do with what I noticed, which is why the painting is unfinished, which is why it is hidden, which is why I am telling you this now from the other side of something I did not see coming, as a form of confession and a form of warning. Because what I know now, sitting in this studio with my hand on a canvas that cannot decide what it is that the most dangerous thing in a Yakuza household is not the man at the gate. It is a man who has decided that the thing the Oyabun has is the thing he deserves, and that the easiest way to take it is not through violence. It is through you. Let me tell you about Noguchi. His full name is Noguchi Rensuk. He is 41 years old. He has been with the organization for 17 years, longer than Takashi has led it, long enough that his loyalty has a history that predates the current power structure and therefore, technically, does not belong to it entirely. He is second in command. He is precise. He is elegant in the way that men who grew up without elegance and acquired it deliberately are elegant, completely, and with a slight edge of intention that people who were born into it don't have. He has a wife, a Nagoya woman named Setsu, quiet, impeccable, who attends the right dinners and says the right things and has learned the extraordinary discipline of being invisible in a room full of powerful men. I respect her enormously. I feel about her the specific, complicated feeling of recognizing a version of a life you nearly became. He has 2 sons in private school in Kyoto. He goes to temple on the 1st of every month. He has been Takashi's most trusted lieutenant for 11 years. What he has also been, for an indeterminate amount of time that I am still reconstructing, is something else entirely. This is the part where I need you to stay with me. Because I know how this sounds. And I know what you're thinking. And you are not wrong, but you are also not entirely right. It is more complicated than what you're thinking. It is always more complicated than what you're thinking in this life. Start here. 3 months after the Noguchi problem resolved, the one I told you about in part 1, the one that involved a different quality of quiet in the house and 1 fewer man at the senior dinner, Noguchi came back. Not physically. He had never left. He came back as a presence that had recalibrated. The bow was the right length again. The eye contact normalized. He was on every visible surface, the lieutenant he had always been. Careful, competent, deferential to Takashi in exactly the proportion that the role required. But here is what changed. He started talking to me. Not inappropriately. I want to be precise about this because precision matters, and I have spent 3 years in a household where imprecision costs things. He started asking about the work. He had seen the show. The view from inside. He had opinions. Specific, informed, not performed opinions about the paintings, the way critics have opinions, and the way people who actually look at paintings have opinions, and these were the second kind. He talked about the koi pond painting for 12 minutes one evening at a dinner. Takashi had left early for a call. 12 minutes. I know because I counted. I counted because I was measuring the conversation against the standard by which I measure everything in this household. Is this what it appears to be? It appeared to be a man who genuinely loved the paintings. Ko watched from the kitchen doorway. Setsu sat at the other end of the table, entirely untroubled. The kind of untroubled that is either genuine or is itself a performance so refined it has become indistinguishable from genuine. Even now, I don't know which. I told Takashi about the conversation that night. Full disclosure, this is our agreement. Not because I was alarmed. Because we agreed that I would tell him everything I noticed and I notice everything, and full disclosure is the only architecture that works in a life like this one. He listened. He said, Noguchi has always appreciated the work. I said, he had a lot to say about it. He said, he is an intelligent man. I said, is that a concern? He looked at me for a long moment. Then he said, not yet. Not yet. I filed those two words in the same place I file the things that have weight I can't fully account for. And then 3 weeks later, Noguchi did something that made me take the file back out. He sent me a painting. Not one of mine. A Meiji-era woodblock print. A woman on a bridge in rain. Extraordinary. The kind of thing that costs what it costs and arrives in a case lined with cloth and a handwritten note that says, in precise calligraphy, for the artist who paints the moment after the moment. I thought you should have one. No signature, but the handwriting was his. I had seen it on documents at the house. I stood in the studio for a long time holding that note. Then I called Ko into the room and showed her everything. Ko, who has worked for this household for 23 years, who has seen things I have not seen, and before me has seen things I will never see. Ko looked at the print, looked at the note, looked at me. She said, I will tell him. I said, I was going to tell him. She said, I know. I am telling you so you understand that I will also tell him. That is Ko, the whole of her in 2 sentences. Takashi came to the studio that evening. He looked at the print for a very long time. He did not touch the note. He stood with his hands behind his back and his face in the arrangement it uses when it is working on something it will not show me. He said, you told me immediately. I said, I tell you everything. He said, yes. Silence. He said, I need you to understand something. I said, tell me. He said, what Noguchi is doing is not about the paintings. I said, I know. He said, it is about whether I can be moved. And I understood then the full architecture of it, the thing that takes a painting to see, but I am a painter, and I can see it. The gift was not for me. The gift was a message to Takashi. A message that said, I can reach her. I can reach the thing you protect most. I am close enough to touch it. The question inside the attention had an answer now. The answer was a threat. Let me stop here for a second, because I need you to understand something about what it is like to be the thing a powerful man uses to measure another powerful man. I have been in this life long enough to understand the geometry. I knew, when I married into it, that I was a position as much as a person, that the Oyabun's wife has a symbolic weight that exists independently of her actual self, that my American citizenship, my art, my specific foreignness, all of it is both genuinely mine and also genuinely useful to someone who calculates everything. I made my peace with that, or I thought I had. What I had not calculated was that being used as a message would feel like this. Violent is the wrong word. It is not violent, but it is also not neutral. It is the specific feeling of being looked at and knowing that what is looking at you is looking through you at something else, and the something else is your husband, and the medium is you, and nobody asked. I painted that feeling. I painted it for 4 days without stopping except for Riko, who I would put down for her nap and come back to the canvas and keep going. I painted until the painting was not about Noguchi and not about Takashi and not about the woodblock print and not about any of the specific things that caused it. I painted until it was about the thing underneath all those things, which is, what does it cost to be seen as a symbol by the people who are supposed to see you as a person? It is one of the best paintings I have ever made. I have never shown it to anyone. Takashi dealt with Noguchi. Again, I do not know how. Again, I do not ask. What I know is that 3 weeks after the woodblock print arrived, Noguchi was transferred, a word used in this organization the way it is used in any other organization, neutrally for both the benign and the non-benign versions of being moved to another location. He was transferred to oversee operations in Kobe, permanently, with his family. The bow at the final dinner before his transfer was correct. Precisely, exactly correct. The eye contact, appropriate. His expression, the specific neutral of a man who has calculated the outcome and accepted it. Setsu embraced me before she left. She held on for 2 seconds longer than necessary. I held on back. We never said anything, and I do not know what she knew, and I do not know if she was a prisoner of the geometry or a participant in it, and I do not know if I will ever know. She is in Kobe. I think about her sometimes. Here is what I did not expect. Takashi changed after Noguchi. Not dramatically. You would not see it unless you had spent 4 years learning to read the specific vocabulary of a face that almost never moves. But I saw it. The controlled stillness became something slightly different, not tighter, which is what I would have predicted, but more deliberate. As if he had recalibrated something and the recalibration had landed in a slightly different place. He started coming to the studio more. Not interrupting. Just present. He would sit in the chair in the corner with a book or with nothing and exist in the same room as the work in progress. The way he used to sit with me in the Kyoto studio when the power went out and we were in lamplight with sake and the night outside. That quality. The voluntary choice of proximity. He said once, while I was working and he was sitting, "Do you paint what you see or what you feel?" I said, "I paint the distance between them." He said, "Yes." He said it the way he says things that cost him. Quietly, with the weight of someone acknowledging a truth they've been carrying for a while and are finally putting down. I kept painting. He kept sitting. Rico toddled in at some point and sat between us on the studio floor and very seriously arranged her toys in a pattern that was either random or, knowing her, intentional. That was the most complete I have felt in 4 years in this life. I want you to hold that image for a moment because I need you to understand what it contains before I tell you what comes after it. What comes after it is this. 2 months ago, a woman appeared. Not at the house. At the gallery. My gallery, the Osaka space where my work hangs permanently now, the gallery that started as one arrangement and became legitimately mine. She came on a Tuesday afternoon when the gallery was quiet, and I was there alone doing what I sometimes do, which is sit with the work and let it talk back at me. She was approximately my age. Japanese. Extremely well-dressed in the way that signals money, so old, it has stopped needing to signal. She looked at the koi pond painting for 11 minutes, one less than Noguchi, which I noticed because I am an artist and I notice everything and apparently now I count minutes. Then she turned to me and said, in perfect English, "You're better than I expected." I said, "I'm sorry?" She said, "He told me you were good." I wanted to see for myself. I said, "Who told you?" She said, "My brother." She said his name. His brother. Not Takashi's brother. Not anyone I knew. A name I had never heard, delivered with the complete casualness of someone who expected me to know it and was recalibrating in real time to the information that I didn't. She looked at me for a moment. Then she said, "He never told you about me." It was not a question. I said, "Tell me your name." She said, "Mitsuki." She said, "I think we should have a very long conversation." I said, "I agree." She sat down. I sat down across from her. The gallery was quiet. The koi pond painting hung between us. The afternoon light came through the windows at the angle it always does at this hour, arriving without apology. And she told me something. I have been sitting with what she told me for 8 weeks now. I have painted it. I have not painted it. I have told Takashi I met her and watched his face do something I have never seen it do before, which is not an expression I can name yet, which means I have not finished understanding it. I know some things. I know that Mitsuki exists and that she is real, and that she knows things about Takashi's history, before the organization, before Osaka, before the father who worked himself into the city and the boy who decided the city would owe him, that I was not told. I know that the Kamakura plan is still in motion. 3 years. He says 3 years. I know that Rico is asleep in the next room, and that she has his jaw and my eyes, and that she is, as he said, in a hospital room 4 years ago with both hands careful around the most furious small person either of us had ever seen, the first completely good thing he made. I know that I trust him. I know that trust and complete information are not the same thing. And I know that somewhere between what Mitsuki told me and what Takashi's face did when I said her name, there is something I am still painting. The canvas is not finished. It may not be for a long time. The painting of Noguchi is still in the studio. Unfinished. Hidden. The way he looked at me when Takashi was not in the room. The question inside the attention. I thought I knew what the question was. I thought it was, "Can I take what you have?" But 8 weeks after Mitsuki sat across from me in the gallery and told me what she told me and watched my face the way I watch paintings for what remains when the moment is over, I am not sure anymore. I am not sure the question was about Takashi at all. I am not sure it was ever about Takashi. And that specific uncertainty is the thing I cannot finish painting. That and the other thing. The thing Mitsuki said right before she left, at the gallery door, with the afternoon light behind her and the koi painting between us. Ask him what happened to the painter before you. The door closed. I have not asked. I paint every day in the East Wing studio with the northern light. The light arrives and leaves without apology. I am paying very close attention. I am not sure I'm ready for what I see.